This video features the best brawlers you need to be playing in June going into July. Balance changes are coming, so let's see who's now at the top of the meta inside of Brawl Stars. Alright guys, the first brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Lily. Now one of the best aspects about Lily's kit is her Vanish gadget. When you use the Vanish gadget, try to remember where your opponents were and predict where they will be when you emerge from the Shadow Realm. This way you can either avoid reappearing right next to a strong brawler that will overpower you at a close range, or purposely reappear on a weak brawler and catch them by surprise. Now with Lily having that trait that makes it so much easier for her to charge up her super, and you really gotta take advantage of that aspect. A good way to play Lily is to follow enemies to allow your super to charge while staying behind walls or hidden in bushes. Once it is charged, you can emerge and use her super, followed by spamming her attack to deal enough quick damage to take down most brawlers. If you teleport to a tank, do the same until you are low on health, then use your Vanish gadget to escape into the Shadow Realm. And of course we can't forget about pairing Lily's Vanish gadget with her spiky star power. With her spiky star power, a super followed by 2 attacks deals lots of damage almost instantly. After that, her quick unload and reload speed plus her rapid supercharge can keep up the damage enough to eliminate most brawlers quickly. Since you do not reload while using her super, make sure that you have all your ammo beforehand. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Gray. Now with Gray, the shield gear combined with the fake injury star power is so broken. Whenever Gray is at full health, he takes 50% less damage. Using his shield gear on Gray and his fake injury star power together is a good idea, since Gray will always have full health as long as his gear's shield is up. This means all hits he takes will stay reduced by 50% until he takes a hit without the shield up. Now definitely one of the best things about Gray's kit is going to be his super, right? Gray's super can easily finish artilleries who cannot closely combat against brawlers easily or enemies that are low on health. However, try to accumulate 2 or 3 ammos before doing that, so you don't give the enemy time to escape while you're reloading your ammo. Now something that amplifies Gray's super even more is going to be his hypercharge Another Dimension. When activated, Gray creates teleporters that whenever he or his allies use them, they receive a shield that initially blocks the next 1000 damage dealt to them. The shield will decay for 50 health every 0.75 seconds, so the damage it blocks does decrease over time. If an attack deals more damage than the shield's current health, the shield disappears and Gray or his allies are damaged by the remaining damage. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Amber. Now Amber's super can be very useful, so don't waste it when you place it down. Be careful about positioning Amber's super, because if it's thrown in an undesirable position, you might accidentally ignite the puddle when attacking an enemy near it, so I recommend trying to place the fluid outside your attacking spot, but still at least within your attacking range so you can ignite the puddle at the right time. This will also enable you to control 2 lanes at the same time. Now the good news about why a lot of people love playing Amber is because she's a very auto-aim friendly brawler. Now even though she is very auto-aim friendly, try to predict the enemy's movements in order to land more shots, mostly because there's a tiny yet noticeable delay between aiming and firing. You'll deal maximum damage by aiming where the enemy is likely to move, as aiming at the enemy's current position won't damage the moving enemy since Amber's flames travel slowly. Now even though it's not as strong anymore, the pros still love using her Dancing Flames gadget. Amber's Dancing Flames gadget can deal incredible damage if all fireballs hit the target, so it gives her steady protection against assassin brawlers or brawlers with supers that could fly over obstacles that would normally defeat her. She can also use this gadget effectively in modes like Heist where there is a stationary target. This allows her to deal massive damage with this gadget, and combined with her piercing attack, super, and gadget gear, she is a menace in these kind of modes. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Juju. Now with Juju, I would recommend staying on the normal ground most of the time when facing close range brawlers. As long as you can outrange the enemy or don't have any problems connecting your shots, you want to be standing on the ground to deal the extra damage. You can't ever go wrong with dealing more damage, so try and lane brawlers or play on maps where you can stay on the ground most of the time. Now just like every other thrower in Brawl Stars, you want to be staying behind cover to protect yourself from those kind of tanks and assassin brawlers. Clearly with Juju's slow projectile speeds and low health, she needs to be hiding behind cover whenever she can to just make it as difficult as possible for the enemies to take her down. Even more so if there are no bushes nearby and you're completely outrange, you are going to need that cover to stay alive that much more. Now another part of Juju's kit that's pretty strong is going to be her Voodoo Chile gadget. When you're being rushed, especially by an aggro brawler, you can slow them down, deal the extra damage, and while you don't really need the additional range, it can still come in handy to be useful in case you change your mind. I mean, think about it, just being able to combine more damage with the slow within one gadget is so incredibly strong. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Kenji. Now unfortunately, Kenji has fallen out of the S tier because of all the nerfs he received. His hypercharge multiplier was decreased by 10%, and his hypercharge pull strength effect was decreased by 75%. Now don't get me wrong, this hypercharge is still pretty good, but it's definitely not as broken as it used to be. It's a lot harder to get, and it's just not as easy to chain as it once was. Now Kenji's still going to be a great assassin brawler because he can still do quite a bit of damage once he gets within range of his target. Kenji's damage from his min attacks and super wasn't changed at all, so that'll still keep Kenji somewhat decent, mostly because he can still be a great counter to throwers or glass cannon brawlers in general. It's just going to be a little bit easier to counter Kenji than before, and especially since his hypercharge isn't as broken, I mean it's going to be a lot easier to deal with him. Now something that is still going to be pretty good about Kenji's kit is going to be his Wholesomaki healing gadget. Now I recommend using Kenji's Wholesomaki healing gadget after you have taken large amounts of damage. Do not try and wait to activate the gadget to get more healing unless you are certain that it will pay off, as timing the gadget right is important. Activating the gadget too late will decrease the effectiveness of the gadget, as the 3-second duration may have expired. You could also get killed by other brawlers if you decide to remain at low health and not activate your gadget. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Buster. Now Buster is such a great brawler to play inside of ranked. In Masters lobbies, you will see a lot of people picking Buster on any map where there are a lot of walls and bushes, mostly because Buster can use that to get closer to the enemies. I mean, it's going to be great for him. He's going to be more of a better mid to late pick since he isn't super broken, but can be strong against and with the right matchups. Now, what's great about Buster is he can be pretty versatile in those specific situations. Like, there's two main ways you can play him. The first method is to play aggressively by sneaking around inside of bushes to get closer to the enemies. This is when you need to carry your team and close down the distance between your target. The other way is to camp near your teammates so you can charge up your super. This is more of a passive playstyle and when you want to coordinate pushes with your teammates. Now what I personally love doing at Buster's min attacks is wall peeking, like hitting the enemies by hiding behind a wall and then running behind to stay alive. Buster is a type of brawler that is great at wall peeking. If you don't know what that is, you walk slightly past a wall, attack towards your target, and then run back behind the wall. You would typically see this strategy applied to brawlers like Carl or Lumi, but you definitely can execute this with a brawler like Buster as well. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be B. Now B is a viable counter against tanks. Since most tanks are close range, in order to deal effective damage, they would have to get close up to the other team. B's slowing super and gadget can be effective in this place, and she's able to shoot them down without getting hurt herself. However, a lot of tanks have supers or gadgets that allow them to travel a distance, therefore closing up with B. And of course we can't forget about how annoying B's Rattled Hive gadget is. B's Rattled Hive gadget is very unpredictable and hard to dodge if players are dealing with other threats. Because the B's move faster and do more damage at a longer range, it is more advisable to use this gadget offensively for massive area denial and damage potential than it is to use it defensively. Now what's also great about B is that most brawlers typically aren't fast enough to dodge her shots. Upon hitting a brawler with their super, it is very possible to auto-aim them down very quickly without aiming, as the brawler is slowed down and unable to move fast enough to dodge your shots. Keep in mind that brawlers with movement speeds from star powers or supers might still be able to dodge auto-aim shots. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Jaeyoung. Now first, let's go over a tip for his work mode, which is where he creates a slipstream and gives you and your teammates a speed boost. This main attack is very fun to use because who doesn't want to move faster throughout the match? Every time you fire your main attack, you give yourself the opportunity to increase your movement speed and travel across the map quicker, or help you dodge incoming projectiles. It could cause pressure onto the enemy team and force them to give up control of the map. Now next, let's go over a tip for his party mode, which is where he throws a bottle that heals your teammates but also deals more damage to the enemies. This main attack may not be as fun as the slipstreams in work mode, but this main attack is what really makes Jaeyoung a great support brawler. With his fast reload speed, Jaeyoung can quickly heal up his teammates in no time. Now since Jaeyoung is considered a support brawler, you need to prioritize supporting your teammates above all. An amateur mistake I always see is that people not only play Jaeyoung like a damage dealer, but any support brawler like a damage dealer. Your job as a support brawler is to support your teammates. Whether the situation calls for a speed boost or an instant heal, you need to prioritize that first and foremost, especially with a brawler like Jaeyoung. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Finks. Now with Finks' main attacks aim to hit with the middle and one of the sides. Something that a lot of skilled Finks players do is try to hit your target with your middle projectile and at at least one of the outer ones as well. This will help you do more damage and give you more value for each bar of ammo. This is definitely harder to do since you need to hit the enemy slightly off center, but once you get this down, Finks is going to be a lot tougher to deal with. Now what's great about Finks' super is you can place it down on top of a choke point and help you take advantage of that area. Placing your super on a choke point is a great way to force the enemies to either wait or run around to a different lane. This will allow you and your teams to funnel the enemies away from mid or wherever you want to keep the enemies away from. If the enemies want to risk running through that choke point, they'll have to withstand the wrath of your super. Now Finks is just so incredibly good right now, but a part of that is due to his hieroglyph halt star power. Especially when Finks was first released, players didn't really understand how Finks fully worked. Newer players are probably not going to even notice that their reload speed is slightly slower than usual. These are the types of opportunities you need to take advantage of, mostly because this star power is going to be one of the strongest star powers throughout all of Brawl Stars. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Lumi. Now Lumi's main attacks are just so incredibly good. When throwing the maces, try to keep enemies at the tip of your range to make it easier to hit them when you recall them. This is especially important when throwing the second one, as if done right, Lumi can instantly recall the second mace after it hits for an additional burst of damage. Now another thing that I personally love about Lumi's main attacks is that they can pierce through multiple targets. When Lumi recalls those maces, they can go through walls and obstacles. This can be crucial when opponents only need one more hit to be defeated but are hiding behind a wall. She can take advantage of this by throwing her maces and moving towards the enemies behind the wall before they return. This will allow them to get an indirect hit and could possibly get you an extra kill. Well anyway guys, if you guys enjoyed that video, I highly recommend you go check out this video right here.